All right, guys, welcome back to the Green Zone. As always, I'm your host, Jimmy Havener, coming at you live from my household. Hope you enjoy the view. I know that I do. We are going to get you started for episode 25 of the Green Zone. We're going to do things, we're going to shake things up here for the upcoming week 5 of the NFL. Everything's going to be the same as usual. You're going to use me for my money, the money that I'm going to give to you by getting you into that green zone. Don't worry about that. That'll be the same. I'm going to give you betting advice for week 5 matchups. Going to give you daily fantasy advice, and head-to-head pick'ems as usual. But at the end, stay tuned for some bonus content, a little bit of a new segment that I'm going to do. I'm going to go over last week's matchups and just kind of give you guys general football knowledge there to help you on your way to establishing the knowledge that you'll need to be able to be able to handicap these games on your own. And then a little special Niners, San Francisco 49ers segment that we're going to do at the end as well. So everything's going to stay as normal. Don't fret. Don't trip, guys. We're going to be all right. But stay tuned for some bonus segment stuff at the very end. All right. So as we say here on the Green Zone, let's kick it off. First up, guys, we are going to do the NFL head-to-head pick'ems. Cue the music there, boys and girls. First up, we've got the Jets at the Eagles, guys. This one's a fairly easy one. Look, before we even start, I want to go over something here. This is something that I noticed was very interesting. Quarterbacks can be, in my opinion, put into 3 different categories here for maybe the first time in NFL history. I'm not real sure, but needless to say, there's a lot of interesting things going on at quarterback lately. Here's the way that I categorize the quarterbacks. Number 1, you've got elite quarterbacks in the NFL. There's a handful of them. You've got Tom Brady, Pat Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, Phillip Rivers, and I'm even going to throw Dak Prescott into that group, guys. Those are your elite quarterbacks. There's not too many of them. If you look closely at the teams that they are leading, those are teams that are probably going to go far this year. We'll get more into that later. Next, I've got middling type quarterbacks. Your captain checkdowns, your gunslingers that'll maybe win you a game or two, maybe even get you a playoff appearance or, in rare occasions, a Super Bowl appearance, but they're probably never going to win the big one. And they are just those middling quarterbacks, those ones that tend to just stay in your franchise for about 15 or so years, Alex Smith, and kind of keep you in the same spot. Not good enough to win it all, but not bad enough to be absolutely atrocious. And some of them kind of lean towards that atrociousness, if you will. I just realized I forgot Matt Stafford on this list as I type without looking there. So, middling quarterbacks, you've got Kirk Cousins, Matt Ryan. I know he made it to the Super Bowl. They did not win. Jameis Winston, Marcus Mariota, Andy Dalton, Derek Carr, Joe Flacco, Jacoby Brissett, Chase Daniels, I'm going to put there, even though he's only played 1 game as a backup this year. He's been a backup for several years. That's the type of quarterback he is. He's a middling type quarterback. He is not going to win you a Super Bowl. Case Keenum, Colt McCoy, and Matt Stafford. Colt McCoy falls under that same Chase Daniels title. All right, guys, now for the last final category that you can place all quarterbacks into, all remaining quarterbacks into this year is unknown, incomplete grade, or unproven. All right, we've got Carson Wentz, Kyle Allen, Gardner Minshew, Daniel Jones, Deshaun Watson, Teddy Bridgewater, Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson, Mason Rudolph, Mitch Trubisky, and finally, your very own and beloved here in the San Francisco Bay Area, Jimmy G. Guys, I'm going to go ahead and go out on the limb here. These are my own categories that I've made. I did not hear this on another NFL show. This is just something that occurred to me. This is very interesting. The NFL is not normally divided into 3 categories like this. Usually you've got your elite great quarterbacks and then the rest, and maybe sprinkle in a couple of young rookies. I'm going to go ahead and say that as far as getting to the Super Bowl or getting to the playoffs, making noise, and then getting into the Super Bowl and possibly winning, you're better off picking a team that is led by one of those elite quarterbacks or one of those unknown and unproven quarterbacks. The other middling tier guys, Kirk Cousins, Jameis Winston, Joe Flacco, Matt Stafford, those guys, they've been in the league for several years, and there's a reason why they've never won the big one, because they were that middling captain checkdown middling type quarterback, that's just where they belong. I do understand that quarterbacks like that every now and again do win a Super Bowl. You've got guys like Trent Dilfer, Doug Peterson, whatever, before my time, but I heard he was similar. I get it, but how often does that happen? I just listed off 2. There's a couple more, but really? I mean, a Nick Foles, okay. But it doesn't happen often, guys. So you're probably going to have an elite quarterback or a pairing of 2 elite quarterbacks in the Super Bowl, or an unproven, unknown surprise getting there against an elite. 2 unprovens, 2 unknowns, 2 youngster quarterbacks getting to the Super Bowl this year would probably be relatively rare. It's not going to happen, guys. So when my Super Bowl prediction at the beginning of the year is the Saints, Chiefs, those are 2 elite quarterbacks meeting in the Super Bowl. That's a fairly safe Super Bowl pick. The reason I bring this up, guys, is you are still getting incredible good odds on being able to successfully pick the 2 teams that are going to battle it out in the Super Bowl right now if you want to place that bet down in Vegas or at your local bookie, however you do it. When we get to the Saints and we go over the fact that they are just cashing money in the bank by getting W's without Drew Brees, as they will get him back sometime this season. That's amazing, and it's making my earlier pick and bet before the season look fantastic. Okay, guys, now let's get into it. Just something I wanted to bring up to you guys. I thought it was very interesting. I don't think quarterbacks are normally they don't normally play out the way that they have this season. Very interesting. We've got some injuries that have happened that have forced teams to get rid of those middling quarterbacks and play the new unproven, unknown youngster quarterbacks, and that's making this season all the more interesting. All right, guys, pick'ems, Jets and Eagles. Let's get right back to it. This one's fairly easy. Luke McCown is going to be the starter there, and for the Jets, he's not going to beat the Eagles and Carson Wentz. Even with that being in Philly, notoriously a tough place to play. Give me the Eagles in that one relatively easy. We got the Jaguars and the Panthers, guys. Gardner Minshew Mania has started. It's here. Uncle Rico, new porn star, doesn't matter. Gardner Minshew's got the look, he's got the swag, and I like him, guys. I don't like him this week against the young 2-0 Kyle Allen, who took over for the 0-2 Cam Newton. Do not be mistaken, there will be some implications, possibly financial implications for Cam Newton because of this quarterback controversy that could develop as Kyle Allen continues to win, and I think he wins this week at home in Carolina. That Panthers defense is good. Christian McCaffrey is a beast. He's got 10 straight games or more. I think it's 10 or more straight games where he's had over 150 all-purpose yards from scrimmage. That continues. That Jaguars defense is not that great. I wish Jalen Ramsey would come back because he would help them. But they're just, I don't know. Every year, the Jaguars defense, they come in, they look good on paper, they have that fantastic year and a half, but they're so young, and I don't know if they're just immature. They're an immature team. I realize that every defense celebrates over every tackle, but it seems like this defense more than others is somehow figuring out ways to steal the spotlight from everything and anything that's positive there in Jacksonville. Gardner Minshew and the offense is actually keeping them going. They barely snuck out a win in Mile High Stadium. They're an 0-4 Bronco team that shouldn't be that hard to beat. I know they had to go on the road, but a lot of road teams won this last week. We had only 3 home teams win last week. That's unheard of and crazy. I just don't think the Jaguars are that good. I still like Gardner Minshew. Great story. But give me the Panthers in that one, who are developing their own great story there with Kyle Allen. Amazing play by Kyle Allen last week, avoiding that sack from J.J. Watt. That was incredible. All right, guys, we've got Vikings at the Giants. I'm going to go with the Giants in this one. Maybe after last week, I'm going to pick too many upsets here this week, but I'm never betting on the Vikings again. Kirk Cousins is driving me nuts. The guy cannot win games in his own division. Give me the young, rising, ascending talent in Daniel Jones. Yes, he made a few mistakes last week, threw a couple of picks. The guy's young. He's going to make mistakes. Guys, calm down, New York. He's not, the savior himself, and he's also not the worst quarterback in the world. Let's just not overreact there in New York. I know that's almost impossible, but give me the Giants beating the Vikings in New York. The Giants getting some support there from their fans. Next, we got the Falcons and the Texans, guys. This is a game I'm definitely going to stay away from when it comes to the betting. But in a straight-up pick 'em, I guess I'll take the Texans at home. The Texans' offensive line is absolutely terrible, but the Falcons' defensive line isn't any good. So I expect this to be a higher scoring affair. Both teams taking advantage of defenses that aren't that good. The Texans' defense can be good, but they're suffering through some injuries right now. I don't know. I like the Texans at home in this one, bouncing back from a rough loss against the Panthers last week. Okay, guys. Oh, and keep in mind that entire AFC South division, or is it the AFC? Yeah, the division with the Texans, the Jaguars, the Colts, and Titans. That is, every team in that division is 2-2. And yes, that's the AFC South. So it's completely up for grabs as every team there continues to tread water. All right, guys, we got the Buccaneers at the Saints. Briefly spoke on the Saints earlier. Any sort of win they get with Drew Brees sidelined right now is money in the bank, and they are doing it, and they're doing it against good teams. The Dallas Cowboys are a good team. The Saints become one of the first teams to beat the Cowboys with just field goals. That's right, they did not have a touchdown last week. They just had 4 field goals, scoring 12 points and beating those Cowboys. Their secondary, the Saints secondary, stepped up big time. Their rush defense has been good all year. If that secondary is going to step up the way they did last week against the Cowboys, they're almost going to be impossible to beat. You get back a healthy Drew Brees at some point, not this week, but at some point, then my pick for them going to the Super Bowl is, I feel pretty confident about. But right now, guys, we're in Week 5. We'll stop the SB talk there. Teddy Bridgewater's doing his thing. He looks pretty good. He looks serviceable. I mean, he looked bad last week, but he's got Alvin Kamara and he's got Michael Thomas, and he's going to lean heavily on Alvin Kamara. Kamara is a beast. He's a monster. The guy, I like to call him the Kamara Cat because he has incredible balance. The reason why he's like an enigma or something, I forget the nickname they got for him going around right now, where he's just like this amiibo thing that can't be hit and you can't square up on him. It's because of his balance, guys. He has incredible lateral movement, incredible top speed and front, straight line speed as well. But the guy just, his balance, left to right movement, doesn't matter. His center of gravity is always right there. Would love to examine this guy's equilibrium one day. He's incredible. Incredibly strong legs and flexibility as well help with that. All right, guys, we've got the Bills and the Titans, 2 good defenses, 2 relatively underrated defenses. The Titans, they're mostly going to lean on Derrick Henry and their defense. The Bills, on the other hand, are in a world of trouble if Josh Allen can't go. He's questionable as of now. Today is Saturday. We're going to need to know more info. I really like the Titans in this game if Josh Allen can't go. Matt Barkley is a subpar to poor backup quarterback, and that Titans defense is going to eat him alive. Give me the Titans in that one, especially if Josh Allen can't go. Make that a close game if Allen can go, though. Cardinals at Bengals, guys, another upset alert. I'm going to give you the Cardinals. Oh, did I tell you I like the Saints over the Buccaneers? As far as the Buccaneers go, putting up a 50-burger on the Rams, that's great. I gave you the upset alert last week telling you that they could take out the Rams. I also was mistaken and thought that the Rams were going on the road. It didn't really matter, though, guys. The Buccaneers, I knew that could be a letdown game for the Rams, and it absolutely was. The Buccaneers got on them early and fast. That was the worst game Tampa's defense has played all year, but their offense came to play. Jameis Winston, he's always going to be that guy that can just explode and go for 5 touchdowns or completely melt down and go for 5 interceptions. That's how he ends up as a middling quarterback, right? He's completely inconsistent. You never know with this guy, but coming off that high from going to LA, beating the Rams on the road, putting up 50 points, 95 total points scored in that game, by the way. That's incredible. This sets up as a huge letdown game for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're on the road 2 straight weeks in a row now. Now they've got the New Orleans Saints, who are on a roll. Sean Payton's scheming and coming up with some great ways to find wins without Drew Brees. I like the Saints big time in this one, guys. I think a lot of people are going to jump on that Buccaneers train after that win in LA, and I just think it's the wrong thing to do. When everybody's going right, guys, go left. All right, next we've got the Cardinals at the Bengals, guys. A battle of the shits here. Here's the deal. I think, like I said before the season started, the Bengals are probably one of the worst teams in the NFL. That's looking to be an accurate, depiction or prediction by myself. I think the Cardinals can actually win this game, guys. I understand they're having a tough time. Like I said, I don't think Kyler Murray is going to make it in the NFL, but he is going to make it this week. The Cincinnati Bengals are giving up huge play after huge play. They've got absolutely nothing to play for. Andy Dalton's really probably not even a serviceable quarterback in the NFL, but he's that middling type tier quarterback who manages to just stick around for a long time and screw your franchise over. I like Kyler Murray and the Cardinals, and especially David Johnson and Larry Fitz getting off a bunch of chunk, big yardage plays against one of the worst defensive lines in the NFL against those Cincinnati Bengals. Yes, I'd say that to their face. That's an upset, kind of. Next, we've got the Redskins at the Patriots, guys. Do I need to go over this? The Pats get another easy matchup. This time they're going against the Redskins with Colt McCoy as the starter. Give me a Bill Belichick-led defense going against a subpar newly starting quarterback all day. I understand Colt McCoy has been in the league for a long time, but he's not good. There's a reason why he's not a starter. Gruden is on the hot seat there. Is Case Keenum a coach killer? He took out dude in in Denver last year. His name is escaping me at the moment. And now Gruden's on the hot seat. Case Keenum may be a quarterback killer. All right, guys. And then finally, we've got the Ravens at the Steelers. Ravens looked awful last week. Their pass defense has looked awful all year. Their rush defense has been their saving grace. Last week, Nick Chubb ate them alive in an important not must win, but an important division game to really establish themselves as a top tier, top 5 power ranking team there in the NFL. They did not do so. They completely melted down. I expect the Ravens to come back this week against a Mason Rudolph-led Steelers team there. This is going to be in Steeler Nation, so the terrible towels are going to be waving, but not for long, guys. I think the Ravens come back with a vengeance. I expected fire and brimstone in a tough matchup where they were going to be able to go out there and prove themselves as to being a top-tier team, but that didn't happen. I think it happens this week against a weakened and transitioning Pittsburgh Steelers team. Big Ben's not coming back to save you guys. Neither is AB, and neither is Lev Bell, guys. So buckle up there in Pittsburgh. It's probably going to be a long year. Mason Rudolph, congrats getting your first win in your second start there last week against the Bungles. Then we got the Bears and the Raiders, guys. Revenge game for Khalil Mack. That Bears defense is absolutely awesome. They are going to give Derek Carr trouble all day. Yes, I understand that Chase Daniel will be the starter. I still am going to take the Bears going into Oakland and beating them in front of that black hole and the rest of the fans there. Give me the Bears in that one, mostly because that defense is just going to be too much for Derek Carr to handle. All right, guys, Broncos at Chargers. I'm obviously going to go Chargers here, guys. I know it's a divisional game, so it'll probably be closer than most think or expect. But the Broncos are reeling right now. They're 0-4. They're headed in the wrong direction. I do like Vic Fangio, but Joe Flacco's their quarterback. So that's just, he's just going to set your... I don't know how John Elway is the GM, and he continues to pick terrible, I don't know Elway's official title there, but he's the guy in charge of picking the quarterbacks. And so the bottom line is he picks middling, not very good, somewhat serviceable quarterback ever since he's been there. Other than Peyton Manning, of course, but just, they're in trouble there as well. Give me the Chargers, Phillip Rivers, Hall of Famer all day. All right, and if Melvin Gordon gets back into the action, guys, they're going to be a problem because the Chargers already look good. They're always a slower starting team. They're going to have some crazy games where you just don't even understand why they lose them or how they manage to lose them. That's just the Charger way. But I like the Chargers, and I think they can start to, click and get things going here, especially at home against those Broncos this week. All right, guys, then we got the Packers and the Cowboys. Give me the Cowboys in this one. Was disappointed in the Cowboys last week. Had them in my top 5 power ranking for my teams. The Packers, I'm not sure if I really fully believe in their success yet. So I believe in Aaron Rodgers. That's absolute. There's no questioning that. But I'm not sure that they're as good as their record shows. So give me the Cowboys, who I think are better than that record and that loss last week. The Cowboy defense is not what lost the game. It was the Cowboy offense, but I expect the Cowboy offense to step up in this one. It's another important game, and I think they get in the W column once again as a comeback revenge type game for being embarrassed on national television last week and not letting a team beat you with 4 field goals. All right, guys. Then we've got finally last 2 games here. We've got the Colts at the Chiefs. Give me the Chiefs, no problem here. Jacoby Brissett, the guy has been a middling type quarterback, a guy that I said probably shouldn't be starting in the NFL. Proves me wrong all year, and then I put money on him last week, and he turns right into the quarterback that I thought he was. Perfect timing. Yeah, Jacoby, he's not going to have, or right now questionable is T.Y. Hilton and Marlon Mack. If they don't have those guys, they're going to lose this one, and they're going to lose it big. So keep an eye on that. We'll talk about that later when we get to the betting segment. Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs, they're amazing, and they'll easily win that game. Then finally, guys, we've got the Browns at the 49ers, near and dear to my heart. Of course, I'm going to be at that game. Monday Night Football. I think it's going to be a close game. I think the NFL is going to make sure it's a close game. I think they're going to make sure it's a high-scoring, fun game, as most of the Monday Night Football games have been blunders so far. This one sets up to be an important game for both teams. This one sets up to be a little bit of an exciting game, right? So I think they make sure it stays close. I think they make sure that there's some points that are scored. Ultimately, I think the Browns win this game, guys. I understand that the Niners are favored here. Without Ahkello Witherspoon, look, last year OBJ came into Levi's Stadium and lit the San Francisco 49ers up. I expect him to do that again. Nothing has changed this year other than one of our top 2 cornerbacks. Ahkello Witherspoon is out for the next 4 weeks with an injury. The Niners decided to not bring in any help. They said, hey, we can get it done with Emmanuel Moseley. Yeah, I know most of you have never heard of him. And or Jason Verrett. I know you've heard of him, but not for a few years now due to injury. He's the guy who came in and immediately got toasted twice by that Steelers offense and Mason Rudolph. So, Baker, touchdown maker, Jarvis Landry, OBJ, Nick Chubb. I see them giving the Niners secondary fits all day. Now, the Niners are one of only 2 teams right now to have both their offense and defense to be ranked in the top 5. It's the Niners and the New England Patriots that fit that category. That's amazing to me, and I love it. But I just think that injury is going to be huge for the Niners, and I don't see Emmanuel Moseley or Jason Verrett coming to the rescue. So, and Robert Saleh, he's not much of a schemer, guys. He kind of plays straight up in the same, just our guys are better than your guys. You know what we're going to do, but we're better than you type defense. And, I don't know if that's going to work this week. So I expect, the Browns to maybe sneak away with one there. This is a game that you may want to stay away from, but I ironically have some advice on this later on. Okay, guys. That is it for the head-to-head pick'ems. Next, we are going to go over our fantasy. Last week, I gave you 7 top 10 players in fantasy. We're going to try to continue that. I'm going to give you 3 players for each position: quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, and then finally 3 defenses. So here we go. Let's not waste any time, guys. Quarterback, Lamar Jackson versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. I know that Steelers defense only gave up 3 points to the Cincinnati Bengals, but that was the Cincinnati Bengals. This is the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens, like I said, I think they're a bit embarrassed. I know Lamar Jackson, you could see by his reaction on the sidelines, was hating the results of last week and was frustrated by how terrible their offense played and how they couldn't get anything going. I think they reset everything and get going again this week. So give me Lamar Jackson against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Tom Brady, yes, the magnificent Tom Brady, the ageless wonder. Give me Tom Brady versus Washington and that overrated, terrible defense there in Washington. I'm making a joke, of course, because earlier before the season started, I said that they were an underrated type defense. They are not. They're properly rated. Tom Brady all day. Baker Mayfield, guys. Like I said, I expect this one to be a high-scoring affair, to be an exciting Monday Night Football game, and Baker Mayfield and OBJ to connect often. And, that's enough said. Kyler Murray, guys. If you're looking for a quarterback that you can maybe sneak in on the cheap in daily fantasy, Kyler Murray is not going for much, and that's to be expected. The guy hasn't done anything as of late, but Cincy is a team that just gives up, big play after big play, chunk play after chunk play. So I expect Kyler Murray to get his this Sunday. Running backs, guys, Dalvin Cook. Last week, Dalvin Cook was absolutely shut down. I think he was embarrassed. I think he's the type of running back that takes these things personal. I think this week is a good matchup, a plus matchup against the New York Giants. Expect him to bounce back as one of the better running backs in the NFL. David Johnson, guys, you can get him for a relatively good price. He's going against a great matchup versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Versus the Bengals. Once again, I look at matchups and I exploit them based on good elite players going against plus matchups, guys. We got David Johnson going on here at a good rate because he hasn't done anything, or he hasn't done much lately, but the guy, they run a lot there through him in Arizona. I expect David Johnson to do his. And then finally, guys, Alvin Kamara. I think Kamara's going to have a monstrous day against Tampa as the Saints probably roll Tampa there. And then wide receivers, guys. I already talked about it a couple times now. OBJ going against the 49ers. It's going to be flashbacks to last year. I know anybody that was at that Levi's game had nightmares about OBJ for weeks. He absolutely toasted and roasted the Niners secondary. Nothing's changed much there other than we lost our second best DB. Then we've got, look, take one of them. OBJ, or if you want to sneak in Jarvis Landry as your flex or your second wide receiver, then do that. Both are playing, Landry's playing great right now, and K'Wan Williams being lined up on Landry doesn't bode well for the 49ers. Give me Landry either there if you don't want to spend the money on OBJ. Michael Thomas, guys, this is a guy that we haven't taken and talked about much here on the Green Zone. We haven't taken that much in fantasy. But this week he's got a plus matchup versus Tampa, and I expect Michael Thomas to finally get in rhythm and finally get his this week. And then finally, guys, Adam Thielen. The New York Giants are not a very good secondary and pass defense there. Adam Thielen's been playing pretty well. I expect Kirk Cousins to grease the squeaky wheel there and Stephon Diggs, but Adam Thielen is kind of he's over the years proven that he's a reliable target. So we're going to continue rolling him. And then tight ends, guys. Top names that I think have great matchups. George Kittle. George Kittle's got a plus matchup against the Cleveland Browns. I think the Niners are going to lean on him and lean on him often. Give me Kittle there. Then we've got Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz has played well this season, but he hasn't gotten in the end zone. Expect him to get his first touchdown this year against, in a plus matchup versus the Jets. That Jets defense is pretty good, but not going to be good enough for how often they're going to be on the field. Eventually, they're going to break down. And then finally, guys, Mark Andrews, Baltimore tight end. If you haven't heard of him, you will soon. Lamar Jackson likes to look for him near the red zone. Going against Pittsburgh in a plus matchup, I like Andrews. We got some great defenses for you this week, guys. Defense may be a team or maybe an area where you want to spend a little more than you normally would. I know I try to save money on my defense and look for plus matchups, but we've got some top-tier defenses that will cost you a little more, but will probably pan out for you. And that is going to be New England versus the Redskins. Yes, Belichick versus Colt McCoy and Gruden. We've got Chicago going against Derek Carr and the Raiders, and then Philly going against, third-string quarterback and the Jets. So those are great matchups for those defenses. You might want to spend a little bit more, splurge a little bit more in the defensive category. In particular, if you go with New England, they're for sure going to get you a lot of points. All right, guys. That is it for the fantasy segment. And now, finally, to get you to that money segment, we went 3-6 last week. It is our second worst week of the year. Starting slow this year, but hey, every time we've had a bad week, we've bounced back with a good week, so we're going to continue that here. Things are going to get better, guys, I promise. First up, we've had a lot of crazy things happen this year. 3 home teams winning last week, multiple young, new quarterbacks getting starts. So we're starting to see how everything's taking shape, and the picture's starting to form. It's making a lot more sense, right? So first look, right off the rip, I'm going to give you a crazy one, guys. I like the Cardinals +3 versus the Bengals. Yes, I did just say to bet on the Cardinals. But look, the Bengals are absolutely atrocious. I already called it just a straight-up head-to-head win for the Cardinals. If you're going to give me 3, I'm going to take it. Next, we got the Giants versus the Vikings. Give me the Giants +6 in this one. I'll never bet on the Vikings or Kirk Cousins again. They have not done well for me. Look, the Vikings could potentially win this game. I understand that. They've got a better team than the New York Giants, just all-around team. But I think I see more upside in Daniel Jones than I see in Kirk Cousins. And I expect New York to be rocking and excited there. So give me the Giants +6. Saints -3 versus the Buccaneers, guys. I'm pretty excited about this one. I think the line should be higher. I think the Saints should be favored by more. But they're not. Everybody's, rolling off of that Tampa victory and upset against the Rams. This sets up for a huge letdown game for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Give me the Saints -3. Browns +4 versus the 49ers, guys. I think this is almost a pick'em game. I understand that the home team usually gets favored by 3. They're giving the Niners 4. The Niners earlier were favored by 5, which tells me money is going in the direction of the San Francisco 49ers. I like going in the opposite direction of the money, guys. It's usually how things turn out. Call me conspiracy theorist, whatever you want to do there. But I think the Browns have just as much opportunity to win this game as the 49ers. If you're going to give me 4 points, I'm going to take the Browns +4. All right, that takes us to our second take games. I've got the Ravens -3.5 versus the Steelers. I'd like that better if it was Ravens -3. Titans -3. I am all over this, and this would be a first look bet if I knew Josh Allen couldn't go, guys. That stands for 2 things on this game. If Josh Allen, who's right now listed as questionable, again, it's about 5 p.m. here on the West Coast, on a Saturday. If he is ruled out, take the Titans -3. Matt Barkley has no chance against that Titans defense if he is the one starting. If Josh Allen is out, take the under at 39.5. This will be a low-scoring affair for middling tier quarterback Marcus Mariota going against a good Buffalo Bills defense and a subpar to bad backup quarterback in Barkley going against a good defense in the Tennessee Titans. Give me the under at 39.5. The only danger you're in there is if you got a bunch of pick sixes and scooping scores by the defense. And finally, guys, I got the Chiefs, not finally, but finally for our second take category, I got the Chiefs -11. Look, that's a lot of points. Used to have a rule, if you're going to give me 10 or more, I'll take it. But -11, when you're missing T.Y. Hilton and Marlon Mack, that's not that much. If T.Y. and Mack looks to be more towards playing, okay? And he could do some damage against that Chiefs run defense. The Chiefs don't really have a rush defense. Now, if T.Y. Hilton's out, that's huge. And those 11 points suddenly look a lot smaller and not as big. So if those two are out, give me the -11 easy. If just T.Y. is out, I'll still take the Chiefs -11. And then third glance, the ones I like to have a little bit of fun with. Maybe we go with the bigger spread games, the spreads that almost look like college spreads. Yeah, that's right. Give me the Pats -16 against the Washington Redskins and Colt McCoy there. Belichick wanting to have some fun, I'm sure. Give me the Jets +14. 2 touchdowns? I mean, come on, Jets. Have your defense just keep it close. The Eagles are, a terribly inconsistent team, so they're hard to handicap. But 14 points is a lot of points. Give me the Jets +14. And then finally, the over in the Niners-Browns game. Look, I love a good conspiracy as much as the next person. I think the NFL right now is kind of reeling from some bad primetime matchups. Games like the Bengals-Steelers, even the Saints-Cowboys game was touted as like a great game, was kind of a scoring letdown. I enjoy games like that, and true, real football fans enjoy defensive struggle of games. 2 great defenses out there battling it out. It was hard hitting. There was turnovers. It had everything I wanted. But the casual fan likes a lot of points, and they like fireworks and points, and it should be a show. So if the NFL continues to gear towards the casual fan, I expect them to keep this one close and have it be exciting. So give me the over at 47 in that one. All right, guys, that does it for our regular segment. For those of you that don't want to stay tuned for the bonus segment, thank you for listening, you beautiful, beautiful listeners. Mwah. All right. Now that we're all alone, Last week's notes, guys. I just want to go over some of the games. There were some crazy things. First, I do want to also say that before I get to the special Niner segment here, I want to say I realized they had a bye last week, and I don't think I touched on this enough. Having 5 turnovers and still winning a game is absolutely insane. I personally have never seen it. I've been watching football since I was a little kid. That's crazy. Props to the Niners defense who held the Steelers in check even after those 5 turnovers. And then I guess, props to Jimmy G and that Niner offense as they were able to come alive, put together a couple of scoring drives when they really needed to at the end of the game there. So, Cowboys at Saints, guys. Turnovers will almost always kill you, but that goes for the Cowboys as they turn the ball over twice in important times early in the game. A couple of fumbles by Zeke Elliott and tight end there, Jason Witten. But they managed to take the lead late at 10-9. But unfortunately, Kamara was a beast. They could not stop him all day. He was doing his. The Cowboys get their first loss of the season, even though they didn't allow a touchdown by the Saints, who won with 4 field goals. I touched on that. That Saints secondary stepped it up big time, and they've now come to the party with their rush defense. They will be a problem if that continues. And like I said, if they win without Drew Brees, that's just money in the bank. Next, the Buccaneers at the Rams. The Bucs put up a 50-burger on the Rams. I thought it was, look, Shaq Barrett is a monster right now. The dude already has 9 sacks through 4 games. That's insane. I thought it was crazy that Ndamukong Suh was able to score a touchdown on his last year's team. That was pretty cool there. And then a total of 95 points scored in this game. That's insane. I did warn you guys and tell you guys that was a potential upset game, and that did come to fruition. But I did take, in the end, in the pick'em, did take the Rams to win that game. So I don't want to toot my horn too much there. Bengals at Steelers, guys. Steelers get their first win of the season. Congrats to Mason Rudolph for getting his first win in his second start. I accurately predicted before the season started that the Bengals would once again return to form as the Bungles they have. And then the Bungles have lost 8 straight games against the Steelers. That's not going to do it. Next, we've got the Patriots and the Bills, guys. Josh Allen made several stupid mistakes before leaving with an injury. I don't think that was a dirty hit on Allen. He's 6 inches taller than the defender that hit him. He led with his shoulder. He was not leading with the crown of his helmet. It was not a Vontaze Burfict type, illegal hit. I thought that was a little unfair to penalize him for that. Josh Allen goes out with an injury. Matt Barkley is absolutely atrocious. The Bills are in a world of trouble if they cannot get Josh Allen back, because despite several stupid mistakes of throwing into double and triple coverage there that resulted in interceptions by the Patriots, he is a huge step up from Matt Barkley. So I thought the Bills should have taken the field goal to make the score 13-16. Instead, they went for it on 4th down. They didn't get it. That kept the game at 10-16. A lot of coaches going for that and rolling the dice this year. It's panned out more often than it hasn't, I guess. So maybe that'll continue, but a little old-fashioned in close games like this to just take the points, especially early in the game when you're driving down the field. You've got an opportunity to put a 3-0 lead in a game. I've seen this happen several times this year, and you go for it on 4th. I just take the 3-0 start. Especially if you're on the road. So, anyways, So Chiefs at Lions, guys. The Lions put up a much better fight than I thought they would. I thought that even though both teams were undefeated, and I did say before the season started that the Lions would be better than a lot of people thought, they'd have some upset games and they'd have some close games that no one thought they could stay in. Still thought the Chiefs would have their way with the Lions. They didn't. They really, the Lions nipped at their heels all game. They still lost. But Kenny Golladay is a young ascending talent, guys. When I've talked before about acquiring free agents in fantasy, drafting in free agents, I've always mentioned draft and acquire young ascending talent. Kenny Golladay is pretty much the picturesque of what I mean there. I won a league last year by acquiring, or year before last, by acquiring Alvin Kamara after week 3 by seeing that was young ascending talent. Okay, you got to take advantage of that. Kenny Golladay is a G. I have 2 fantasy teams this year, and he's on both of my teams. So where you see that, take advantage of it. Next, we've got the Chiefs. Oh, I'm sorry. The Chiefs stay undefeated. And that play where Mahomes is rolling out and then he turns it into a run and he glances back in the direction of maybe the referee, maybe to see if there's anyone coming behind him. Way too much made out of that. Everybody calm down on the Mahomes train. Holy Moses. Yes, the guy is great. I love watching him. He's a future Hall of Famer, absolutely, already. And he's already putting up stats that are only comparing to Tom Brady's. That's absolutely amazing, guys. I love what the guy can do more than the next person, okay? But this whole, everything he does, oh my God, did you see he had, red Gatorade? Ooh, just take it easy. Take it easy, all right? He is a human. He is just a quarterback playing football. So, he glanced back. I don't think it was, I'm not going to say he's looking at the referee to say, oh, you should have given me a penalty there, or to see if he did throw the flag so that he wouldn't have to run, or it's probably looking back to see if there's any defender coming on his tail. Way too much was made out of that. It's starting to get a little out of hand. And then Trey Wingo, my God, you mentioned Patrick Mahomes' name, and he creams, baby, right there on national television. I love you, Trey, but calm down, dude. Get off your knees. All right, next we got the Vikings at the Bears. The Bears, are they better with Chase Daniels? I know they look better. Maybe the Vikings are just that bad. Maybe it's a combination of both. But that defense is so good in Chicago that a guy like Chase Daniels can come in and lead them to a relatively comfortable win. No problem. Against a Vikings team that does have a good run game. They do have stud athletes and wide receivers in Stephon Diggs and Thielen. They do have a good defense. They should be better than they are. They're just not being led by the right guy. Questions there, developing in the locker room. Some murmurs and things have developed about Kirk Cousins being more concerned with his own numbers than wins. I don't know about that. I'm never going to jump into a guy's mind and try to predict how he feels, because I think we do that too much as a society anyways. Nobody knows how anyone else feels or what they're dealing with or any of that stuff. You don't know that until you walk in the man's shoes or woman's shoes, and we just physically can't do that. So that's the way I was raised. But hey, Cousins just ain't that good. So he's got a good team there, and I think they're coached well, but he's just not that good. You like that? All right, and then we've got, and there is a trend going on with Cousins, which is he doesn't seem to be able to beat his teams within his division. And that's never a good sign. If you cannot beat teams in your own division, you probably can't last long in the NFL. Don't know how you've lasted this long with that trend. All right, guys, we got the Seahawks at the Cardinals. The Seahawks continue to impress. I've always maintained that Pete Carroll and those Seahawks, what they do, they don't rebuild, they remodel. I don't like the Seahawks as a Niner fan. I want to hate them, but they are very impressive with what they do. Same with the Rams. If you watch that Thursday night football game, those are two teams that came to win and play. Those teams show you this is what it means to be a top tier team in the NFC. And they put it all out. That was a hard-fought game. Those are two elite teams there, and that's what the Niners have to go against. Niners, I know for sure, sat back watching that game like, wow, these are who we have to climb over. So, huge game for the Niners against the Browns, because if the Niners lose to the Browns under the bright lights of Monday Night Football, all of a sudden they go to 3-1, and they've got to head to Los Angeles against the Los Angeles Rams, who you know are pissed about that game, giving an opportunity for the Niners to maybe go 3-2. We've had a tough time with the Rams the last couple of years under the Shanahan era. So really important for the Niners to win this game. They go 4-0. Even if they go to Los Angeles and lose that game, it's not what they want, not what I want, but 4-1 is not as bad as 4-2. So, 3-2. So good luck to my Niners this Monday. I'll be there cheering you on. And I got a little off subject there as I was talking about the Seahawks. Look, Cardinals, congrats to Larry Fitz and on all of his accomplishments. Even as a Niner fan, I've always loved Larry Fitzgerald. the guy's awesome, right? Soft-spoken. He's not a big, he doesn't make a huge spectacle of all of his touchdowns, and the guy's now second on the list there in receiving yards. Congrats to him. Other than that, there wasn't much to say about the Cardinals. Giants at Redskins, guys. Daniel Jones made some mistakes, but they still came out of there with the W. There are a lot of NFL teams that'll take a guy that makes mistakes but still gives you the W. So there's going to be some growing pains in New York. Everybody just take a deep breath. Jay Gruden is on the hot seat. I mentioned this earlier. Is Case Keenum a coach killer? He did it last year to Vance Joseph, and now it's happening to Jay Gruden. Coincidence? I don't know. Browns at Ravens, guys. Browns completely dismantled the Ravens. I thought that the Ravens secondary and rush defense, very disappointing. They didn't show. Nick Chubb was a monster who couldn't be stopped. The man is strong, physical, powerful running back, but he also has speed. He's incredible. I love Nick Chubb, and I love watching him play. Probably not going to like watching him play this Monday that much. Like I said, the Ravens offense or defense looks awful, particularly their secondary and pass defense. Drop the Ravens defense if you have them in fantasy, guys. I know I did on one of my teams. I dropped them. There are way better options out there, okay? The Niners are out there. The Bills are out there. I picked up the Titans defense. The Ravens defense, they just stay away from them right now. You don't want any part of that. I don't care if they come back and get 20 points this next week. Drop them, get somebody else. They got some tough matchups around the corner as well. Next, we've got the Jaguars, the Broncos, guys. I like Gardner Minshew, but I still don't think the Jaguars are that good. Fournette had 220 rushing yards. I told you guys that the Jaguars were going to lean on him, and lean on him they did. They were traveling to Mile High. Run game and defense travels. I said that about 7 times last week. That's definitely what they did and how they won that game. Bradley Chubb tore his ACL in this game. He is out for the year, and the Broncos go to 0-4. It's not looking good there in Denver. Panthers at Texans, guys. Like I mentioned earlier, all 4 teams in the AFC South are 2-2. Kyle Allen is now 2-0, while Cam Newton, holy smokes, is 0-2. That's going to cause some controversy, guys. It'll at least cause some controversy when the re-signing and financial and numbers start to get worked out there in Carolina, as Kyle Allen's winning and Cam Newton was not. Shame on the Texans for allowing the Panthers to come in their house and win that game. I think the Texans have all sorts of talent, but that offensive line in the trenches on the offensive side for the Texans, they just don't have it. So they're going to be able to get away and win some games against some subpar defensive lines that can't take advantage of that, but it's not looking good, guys. They need some help at the offensive line there in Houston. And congrats to Kyle Allen. And that was an incredible play on J.J. Watt, who had him. He was able to duck under him, show some athleticism, and then dump it down the field for a first down and keep the drive alive there. Incredible. Raiders at Colts, guys. A couple of things to note. Burfict is suspended for the rest of the regular season. Of course, he is appealing. He did lead with the crown of his helmet. It was a dirtier looking play. It's hard for me to talk trash about people who are just playing physical football, because that's what these guys have been trained to do their entire career. Unfortunately, Burfict has a really sketchy pass. He threw a punch already this season, so he looks like he's trying to do some things that maybe get him out for the rest of the year. I don't know. Maybe he sees the writing on the wall. Like I said, I'm not going to try to get into somebody's head, but suspended for the rest of the regular season by the NFL. He is appealing that. We'll see how that turns out. Raiders get their first win in Indy since 2001. That's impressive. I thought that Gruden outcoached Indy. Otherwise, Carr and the Raiders still didn't look that great. I thought really just Gruden did an incredible coaching job, some end arounds, some trick plays that were able to free up that offense and get some scores early on the Colts, and then they were able to maintain. Carr still almost gave the Colts an opportunity at the end there, but the Colts just don't have enough offensively. Marlon Mack got injured early in that game, and without Mack and T.Y. Hilton, Brissett has nobody to go to, and Brissett finally showed his true colors. The moment that I put some money on him, he turned into the quarterback I thought he was. He was who I thought he was. And of course, that didn't bode well for me. All right, guys, that's it for last week. Now, special talk on some Niner things here. I'm going to be at that game. Look, if you've been a fan as long as I have of the 49ers, you remember some things that were traditional things that used to happen at the Stick. I'd like to try to bring them back. So if you're going to be at that game, there used to be a chant where one side of the stadium would say go, the other side of the stadium would say Niners. Let's try to get that back. Let's try to bring that back, right? Go, Niners. It was one of the greatest chants that we had. The whole, when the Niners get a first down and we do the to me, that's super lame. The Niners their mascot is a miner, gold miners. They are not Titans. They are not from the movie 300. I'm not really sure where that came from. This is my PA to the dude that runs the PA for the Niners, the guy that runs the system, the music, the sound effects. That guy sucks. I'm sorry, guys. I don't like anything he does. He plays crappy music. He starts the defensive chant way too soon. So even when he starts the boom, boom drum, reserve your lungs, reserve your throat, because he starts it before the team even huddles. And so that by the time they actually line up, the defensive chant has stopped. I don't think he doesn't seem to get that. So we'll have to do these things on our own. But guys, let's try to give the Niners support out there this Monday Night Football. This is going to be the biggest game in Levi's since it opened. I'm going to continue to say that if they continue to win. There haven't been that many big games at Levi's. This is absolutely, without a shed of doubt, the biggest game that has been played there so far within Levi's, young career here. So I expect everybody to be loud. Go Niners. Like I said, winning with 5 turnovers, not last week, but the week before, is insane. I've never seen it done. I know a lot of people who haven't. You're supposed to always lose when you have 5 turnovers. So let's hope that defense can continue to do what they do. And then finally, if Jimmy G is going to be the quarterback we expect, want, and need him to be, he's got to be able to win under the bright light games like this. And he's got to do it not just 150 yards, a touchdown, a couple picks, and the defense kind of carried it and the run game carried it. But, put up some good numbers. But, we need over 300 yards passing. And like he did against the Bengals, I know the Bengals and the Browns are not same team, but I would like to see that. Now, to address this whole Niner gang name that's being thrown around for the Niners, the Niner gang or the fans, it's stupid. We are not the Niner gang. We are the faithful. We remain the faithful. We have forever been the faithful, and we always will be the faithful. And something I just have recently noticed, and I want to throw out there, is that, if you're a Bay Area fan, you know that the Niners have always been the number one team in the Bay Area, the most successful team in the Bay Area, and the Raiders have always been second, right? They've always been the second best, the younger child, right, that maybe underachieves a little bit. So that I just felt like the colors of the teams, the gold and the silver, are just absolutely perfect. The Niners will always be the Bay Area's gold to the Raiders' silver, right? That's just how it's always been. So I feel like those colors are apt, and I just wanted to make mention of that. Nothing against the Raiders. And then, it's exciting to finally have a winning team here in San Francisco. So let's get out there. Let's support them. Let's, I guess, get the ooh, ooh. Oh, and by the way, that chant, that 300 thing that's being thrown in San Francisco, that was not first utilized or used by the 49ers. That was used in Tennessee by the Titans. They still use it, which is super lame for us to try to grab something that's being used. I don't know why we do that. But yeah, guys, despite all that, go Niners. I hope the rest of you have good experience and your team wins in your football ventures tomorrow. So with that, thank you for listening, you beautiful, beautiful listeners. Goodbye.